Okay, here I would like to explain about teaching. Teaching can be defined as engagement with learners to enable their understanding and application of knowledge, concepts, and processes. It includes design, content, selection, delivery, assessment, and reflection. So it means when a teacher wants to teach, he or she needs students, because a learning can be run when there are teacher and students. To teach is to engage students in learning. Thus, teaching consists of getting students involved in the active construction of knowledge. A teacher requires not only knowledge of subject matter, but knowledge of how students learn and how to transform them into active learners. Good teaching, then, requires a commitment to systematic understanding of learning. The aim of teaching is not only to transmit information, but also to transform students from passive recipients of other people's knowledge into active constructors of their own and others' knowledge. So it's such as what is written here. To teach is to engage students in learning. A teacher requires not only knowledge of subject matter, but knowledge of how students learn and how to transform them into active learners. Because good teaching requires a commitment to systematic understanding of learning. And the aim of teaching is not only to transmit information, but also to transform students from passive to active. Okay, here I would like to explain about the definition of learning. Learning can be defined as the activity or process of gaining knowledge or skill by studying, practicing, being taught, or experiencing something. Learning is about what students do, not about what we as teachers do. So it's about the activity that students do. What do they do? Studying, practicing, being taught, or experiencing something are the activities that students do. The students will study something and then try to practice what they have studied and try to get the experiences from that. So learning is about the activity that students do. Elements are necessary for successful language learning. There are 3 elements that are necessary for successful language learning. They are engagement, study, and activate. Okay. Engagement. This is the point in a teaching sequence where a teacher tries to arouse the student interest, thus involving their emotion. Most people can remember lessons at school which were uninvolving and where they switched off from what was being taught them. It happened because they were bored. They were not emotionally engaged with what was going on. So in here, when teaching, you must engage your emotion inside. Such lessons can be contrasted with lessons where the students were amused, moved, stimulated, or challenged. It seems quite clear that those lessons involved not only more fun, but also better learning. Big and activities that engage the students during study, like game, stimulating picture, discussion, and so on. So in this point, teacher need to make a bite and give to the student in order to be able to get students' interest. When the students' interest rise, teacher must engage students to some activities like game, stimulating pictures, discussion, and etc. The second is study. Study activities are where the students are asked to focus on language and how it is constructed. You also can say that study activities are of activities that happened in class. When teacher delivers the lesson, even reading, speaking, listening, and it can be grammar or another topic of study, because students can study in a variety of different styles. The teacher must be creative to choose the style of study. So, what is study? Study are the activities where the students are asked to focus on language and how it is constructed. And at this point, teacher must have many styles of study. They, I mean teacher, must be creative to choose the style of study. And the last is activate. This element describes exercise and activities which are designed to get students using language as freely and communicatively as they can. The objective for the students is not to focus on language construction or practice specific bits of language, like grammar pattern, particular vocabulary, items, or function, but for them to use all and any language which may be appropriate for a given situation or topic. The examples are roleplay, dialect creation, describe, throws, debates, and so on. So, the aim of this element is not to focus on language construction or practice specific bits of language, but it's to use all and any language which may be appropriate for a given situation or topic.
Okay, next, there is how do the three elements of ESA fit together in the lesson sequence. Jadi, bagaimana cara pengaplikasian tiga elemen yang tadi yaitu ESA, engage, study, and activate di dalam proses pembelajaran. Nah, the first method is there is strike arrow sequence. Jadi di sini itu metodenya tuh cuma dimulai dari engage, study, and activate. So the teacher get the class interest and engage, then they study something, then after that langsung aja ke activate-nya gitu, langsung di activate gitu. Biasanya ini sih buat apa ya, kelas beginner, kelas pemula gitu. Because it gives students a chance to practice the language in a control way during the study phase. Jadi di study phase itu langsung dikontrol gitu sama gurunya, then give them the chance to activate the new language in an enjoyable way. Nah, tadi yang metode yang ini itu cocok buat anak yang beginner. So the next there is a boomerang sequence, or we can say EASA. Seperti yang digambarkan, the first step is engage, and after that langsung loncat ke activate. Nah, after activate, move to the study, and then after the study back to the activate again. Jadi itu kayak how ya jelasinnya tuh, ini tuh ibaratnya kayak kita biasanya di kelas itu kan engage itu kan dikasih stimulus, intinya stimulus sebelum pembelajaran. Jadi setelah stimulus kenapa langsung diaktifkan? Biasanya kalau kita di kelas itu kan kayak gitu, setelah dikasih stimulus terus kita menjawab langsung kita aktifkan. Maksudnya itu pengaktifasiannya itu dari apa yang kita berikan saat proses stimulus tadi, lalu setelah itu baru dikasih pembelajaran yang sesungguhnya. Nah, setelah dikasih pembelajaran yang sesungguhnya, setelah itu baru diaktifkan kembali, dikasih penerapan yang lebih benar setelah ada pembenaran di proses tadi ini. Jadi itu nanti untuk masalah contohnya kita akan jelaskan di kelas karena biar durasinya nggak terlalu lama, soalnya materinya ini banyak. The boomerang classes go directly into the class activation phase prior to the learning phase, and then the end with students reactivation. Nah, terus during the initial activation phase, students may not be able to use the language correctly. They will make mistake in grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation, which will reveal gaps in students' knowledge. Jadi itu biasanya after pemberian stimulus langsung kan ke praktek, istilahnya activate itu ke prakteknya. Nah, di praktek itu kan anak-anak itu masih salah-salah gitu. Nah, itu nggak apa-apa, setelah salah kan dibenarkan lagi di proses tadi. Nah, di proses tadi ini dibenarkan dari kesalahan yang di activate tadi. Nah, setelah dibenarkan lalu siswa itu praktek kembali, belajar dari kesalahan yang telah dibenarkan tadi. Nah, gitu. After students learn a new topic, they complete the assignment again, filling the gaps at the beginning of lesson. Nah, kembali after activate to study, kembali lagi ke activate. Lalu there is a page work sequence, or we can say EAASEA. Nah, ini agak bulat ya bagannya itu. Jadi, yang belakang tadi ini tuh biasanya digunakan untuk kelas intermediate atau kelas tengah, middle class gitu ya. Yang bahasa Inggrisnya tuh di level intermediate gitu. Seperti itu. Lalu yang selanjutnya ada page work sequence. Nah, ini agak bulat ya, soalnya di sini ada 7 step. Yang pertama, dari engage kita langsung ke activate. Dari activate masih muter lagi di activate situ, and then after the activate move to the study. After study to activate again, then after activate move to study again, then after study get the engage, and after engage langsung move ke activate again. Maksudnya gimana? Jadi di sini tuh banyak sekali mix and match dari proses pembelajaran itu. Mungkin ya yang saya tangkap itu kayak pemberian materinya itu nggak secara langsung gitu, nggak secara menyeluruh. Jadi kayaknya sepemahaman saya tuh ini tuh di sedikit-sedikit gitu loh pemberian materinya. Jadi untuk contohnya nantilah kita jelaskan itu ya. Lalu a page work essay lesson always starts at the introductory level and ends with the activation level. However, what happens between this step can be configured as teacher sees fit. Nah, di sini tuh peran gurunya itu sangat penting banget, dan kemungkinan kecil untuk salah kemungkinan untuk salahnya tuh kecil gitu loh, kan banyak banget prosesnya ya, jadi itu melalui banyak sekali pembenaran gitu. And then after that, patchwork class structure in EAASACEA, the patchwork essay lesson is flexible and can be used for specific areas of students learning. Nah, tapi menurut di buku ini ini lebih diperuntukkan untuk anak-anak yang emang pengkonsumsian vocabulary-nya itu udah banyak, atau bisa dikatakan kelas yang udah tinggi atau higher level itu bisa pakai metode yang ini. Learning step is carried out when students need to improve their understanding of a topic. To make lesson more interesting, teachers can initiate an activation phase or use the engagement phase to introduce new topic. Everything is possible. Jadi kayak gitu. Nah, di buku ini kan dibilangin ini juga bisa sih untuk kelas intermediate ke advance, jadi cocoknya tuh untuk itu. So yeah, that's all. After that we will explain by my friends Tanagung, Laksono, Putro. Thank you.
Ya, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Welcome back with me, Tanagung, Putro. And in here, I just wanna continue the explanation from my friends, Rizky, Aditya, Nugraha, and Denoena, Hanifah. Now, I wanna continue by explaining what teaching models have influenced current teaching practice. Teaching model is model pengajaran atau model mengajar. Okay, next. The first teaching model is grammar translation. The grammar translation method is a method of teaching foreign language derived from the classical method of teaching Greek and Latin. In grammar translation classes, di kelas grammar translation, student learn grammatical rules. Student atau murid belajar gramatikal atau rumus-rumus and then apply those rule by translating sentence between the target language. Jadi intinya, first time the teacher will give any explanation about grammatical rules, like a simple present and another until all of the grammatical. Maybe for the first time is simple present. After that, the teacher will ask the student to translate some text or some story. So the student must be able to translate the text by the true grammar. Just that is very simple. Teaching models sangat simple teaching model yang ini. Okay, I think you have understood. And then continue. Audiolingualism. The audiolingual method is a method for foreign language teaching which emphasizes the teaching of listening and speaking. Jadi pertama itu listening atau pendengaran dan speaking, berbicara before reading and writing. Why so? Because this method is combination between behavioral is kebiasaan, psychology and linguistic. Linguistic baru gerak-gerak seperti speaking, reading and writing. Okay, and then this I take the explanation from the Google, because why? I think Google is more make me understand than book, so I take this by the Google. In book also, audiolingual classes concentrate a long repetition drill stage in which the teacher hope that student would acquire a good language habit. Habit is kebiasaan, jadi masuknya ke behavioral. Jadi inti dari audiolingualism is a behavior atau kebiasaan. Jadi di teaching method ini adalah bukan memaksa, supaya murid-murid bisa belajar atau mengerti bahasa Inggris. Teaching English with a habit atau behavior. Jadi dengan kebiasaan aja seperti itu. Next, PPP or triple P, presentation, practice, production. PPP is a model used to describe typical stage of presentation of new language. It's mean presentation, production and practice. In PPP classes or sequences, the teacher presents the context and the situation, and next time the student will do practice and make another example. You can get the meaning. So for the first time, the teacher give the explanation or presentation about some context. After the teacher have give explanation, after that the student will do the practice atau bukan latihan ya, practice latihan atau memahami sebuah apa yang dipresentasikan. After that praktek seperti itu, atau pembuatan lah setelah latihan, terus aslinya terjunnya gimana, produksinya seperti itu. And usually we do this in class. So presentasi, after that practice atau memahami, setelah itu membuat produksi. Jadi membuatnya itu gimana, mengaplikasikannya gitu. Continue. Task based learning. Task based learning is approach where the planning of learning materials is teaching session are based surrounding a task. You know task? If in the book you can say that the task is sometimes task is like deciding something, solving problem, designing or organizing something, or telling someone to do something is a task. So the meaning in task-based learning, teacher just give a task. Task itu tugas yang harus kamu selesaikan di hari itu. Misal describe about something, telling to do something to someone, or solving a problem, but in English ya, in English. This, but if you read the book, so in the book like this, for example, student might be encouraged to task for information about train and bus timetable. Jadi maksudnya itu kapan kereta dan bus itu datang. Jadi ada biasanya ada kayak jamnya, jam segini, and then that was task, bukan explanation by the teacher yang berlebihan, itu nanti masuknya kepada yang lain, metode yang lain. But kalau task itu seperti kasih gambar, terus ada jam datangnya sebuah mungkin bus atau train, dan murid try to understand about the task, belajarnya dari situ. Next, CLT, communicative language learning. Okay, communicative language learning is which is an approach of to the teaching of second and foreign language. Jadi second dan foreign itu asing, bahasa asing. Emphasize interaction as both the means and the ultimate goal is learning of a language. Jadi CLT itu sebenarnya communication dari second language dan foreign language bisa disatukan gitu loh. Kayak kalau di buku itu gini, communication language teaching has two main strengths. The first is that language is not just bit of grammar, bukan hanya fokus di grammar. It also involves language functions such as inviting, maybe agreeing or disagreeing, suggestion, and another. So communicative language learning, I think in my opinion, that just a learning method that focus in the communication, communicative or communication. The goal is our student can communicate with English, just that with the second or foreign language. For example, the first language is Indonesia, but you teach the second and the foreign language. So the goal is that the student can communicate with the second and foreign language. That was called communicative language learning. Okay, I think that maybe if you have a question, just give a question. Thank you very much for your attention. I think it's already all. Okay, thank you very much for your attention, and then let's say or let's we say assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.